In my DMP2, my big question was centered around whether or not people can ever truly change, and if and how society as a whole can change to shed malicious ideologies and advance towards true peace. At the core of this idea was growth and the development of individuality, which is what truly spurs this idea in whole on a larger scale. When reflecting on my resonating experiences in class for each of the stories we've read so far, the points of these stories that grab my attention and awaken my own sense of wonder are always the moments of self-discovery, the moments that make you sit back and reflect on who you are as a person and what you think of yourself and what you stand for and choose to believe. A full understanding of self is how one ascends from just existing to true self-actualization, and this quest for individuality and identity is what I chose to center my DMP3 on. For the lives of college students in particular, so much of this time period and age we are in is about figuring out what our own individual purpose in the world is to be. Most of my own resonating experiences within the stories told in class have centered on that definition of self, and have been the things and lessons I took away from them. Much of this time period of life in college is about that self-discovery, and part of true contentment, life's greatest gift and treasure, includes truly knowing oneself and one's identity. I chose McKeldin Library, shown by this stack of books, to represent the quest for knowledge of one's individual identity on a local level. Many a discovery is made in the library, whether it be in regards to one's work or one's preferences or career choices. But not much is usually realized about how much of the college experience is centered around this place on campus. The books we read and work we tirelessly tend to helps us to finally understand our own likes and dislikes, which for many people when they come to college is the first time they've ever truly done that on their own at all. The library as a whole is a symbol of discovery and backbone of identity on this campus. In terms of the stories that best relate to the archetypal theme of identity to me, the Teague story, the one without a story, stands out the most. Teague's character is at his most underdeveloped when he's greeted with the first task of singing a song for his foreign villagers after denying them a story for the first time when they ask him for one. At this point, Teague is confused and completely unaware of his own capabilities regarding the task in front of him. As he progresses throughout the story, however, he becomes more consciously aware of tasks placed before him, to the point of which he goes from unaware to confident and self-assured, and finally realizes he too indeed has a story to tell. The villagers he comes across act as the guide for his quest throughout the story, which to me seems as a reflection of how having the right people around us as we grow shapes our own connection with ourselves and revelation of who we are. For Teague, realization of his identity was what enabled him to fulfill his own destiny. However, the path on this quest for identity is not always as direct as it was in the Teague story. For example, in the Kuan Yin story, Kuan Yin had to lose what he thought he wanted most, to be married to the stunning fisher maiden, in order to learn about a key authentic part of himself. While this emotionally damages him, as he truly doesn't understand why he didn't get what he thought he wanted most, it actually ends up completing him, with the fishing maiden being the guide to this part of his identity in the story. The same thing goes for the Psyche and Eros story, where Psyche loses piece after piece of herself and her own individual identity to reach her own destiny. Happenings like these are not always to reach contentment, but are necessary in the grand stories of our lives to make us who we are always meant to be. College is, for many of us, the very first step along a lifelong journey of trying to truly understand our own identities. I really feel as though that's why this archetypal concept appealed to me so much, as it's such a pivotal point in the current lives of myself and the majority of my peers right now. In my own life right now, making my own career choices is where I am in relation to this archetype on an individual level, as I debate the meaning of two worlds for myself and finally choose what side of the career spectrum I'm going to follow. The ultimate goal of our lives is to eventually gain the true knowledge of who we are and have our lives all figured out. The truth is, we probably will never actually have our lives completely figured out, but the beauty of that journey is what makes life the great treasure that it is, and the journey of finding one's own identity the magnificent teaching process that it has come to be.